whatever your circumstances are happening for you to put you into the new, to put you into what you actually want, but it might not look like how you thought it would look like, but it is exactly what you need. And I feel like by the end of the year, we will all have this realization of that, if not while we're in it. Like, oh, this is better than what I could have planned for, or this is better than what I thought I wanted. All the positive change that has been building for us is deeply supported once Venus moves into Libra. Now, it will oppose Neptune when it is first in Libra. I would rather take Venus opposite Neptune than Venus opposite Saturn, personally. Mars is on Mercury also at the same time, so there is a lot of momentum. I feel like this is a lot of, if you've been doing work on your transforming your mental state, like this is when it's gonna pay off. Hi, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to be doing this video for you and going into the rest of 2025. I almost said 2024. This has been such a year. I've been talking about how the current transits are showing up for me and how they're affecting me in my chart a lot in my membership lately, because being removed from the situations that were really challenging for me all year, I've been able to really reflect on and look back at my transits and see, oh yeah, that's why it all happened the way it did. And looking at my transits while I was experiencing all the hardship and the challenges and the things helped too, but there's just a new lens you get when you're you know, removed from it. As they say, hindsight is 2020. So that has been showing up for me a lot lately, and I wanted to do a positive and realistic kind of video on what the rest of the year has in store, and then I will be doing one for 2026 and covering like the major transits of 2026 towards the end of the year for the new year. I also do a deep dive month to month in my membership for every year ahead. So I did one for 2025, and looking back at what I predicted for each month of the year is kind of scary how accurate everything was. So I'm really looking forward to doing that again for 2026 in my Inner Circle membership. If you're a part of the Inner Circle tier of my membership, you get to access the live class of the updates. In the basics tier, you get to access the replay and my video library of classes that I have taught over the years, and my archives, which has all of the transit updates I've given since I think maybe even 2023. I've done a lot of transit videos and they all live in my membership, so you can access them there. Also, something I recently launched to help you all learn transits, if you want to learn astrology transits from me and really master your life's timing, because that's what transits are. Like, we can generalize what the transits could be and bring about all day, but we really get specific when we look at it in terms of how it's affecting your individual birth chart, and that's what I teach you how to do in my new course, Master Astrology Transits. Y'all have been asking me for this for, I feel like, years. A lot of you asked me if I just have a course teaching the transits. It's here. So I'll link it in the description. Check it out if you want to join. I would love to have you inside to teach you how to master your life's timing using astrology. Okay, let's get into the important transits for the rest of the year. We are currently in Libra season, so we are going to have a new moon in Libra. We already had a full moon in Aries. New moons are always going to be in the sign that the sun is currently in. Full moons are always going to be in the opposite sign of where the sun is. That's what makes a full moon. The sun is shining its light totality on the moon, making it full. So the moon opposite the sun, I talk about this in my Manifest with the Moon class that is in my Master Astrology Transits course. Moon cycles are so important for your rhythms of creation and manifestation. We set intentions and have new beginnings with new moons, and then with full moons, we release whatever is standing in the way of us having that manifestation that has been building over the last 6 months that began with the new moon. The full moon generally always happens 6 months after the new moon in that same sign. So we just had a full moon in Aries. The new moon in Aries was 6 months prior in Aries season. So we're in Libra season. We're gonna have a new moon in Libra since we already had a full moon in Aries. We're gonna have a full moon in Taurus once we enter Scorpio season, and then we're gonna have a new moon in Scorpio. Then once we enter Sag season, we're gonna have a full moon in Gemini and a new moon in Sagittarius. And then as we enter Capricorn season, which I think we're not gonna have any new or full moons with the sun in Capricorn until the new year, until 2026, but we will have a full moon in Cancer and then a new moon in Capricorn. I'll be doing a kind of, this is what's gonna be important in in 2026, especially as we head into 2026, like the first 2 months, because February is a big month of 2026. So I'll be doing that video closer to the end of the year. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself. The most important things in October are we have Venus about to enter Libra. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for the middle of October. Those of you that are fellow Libra risings, this is going to be a great transit for us. I am so excited. Venus on the South Node in my 12th house has not been fun, so I'm really excited for a kind of refresh of Venus's cycles through my chart. That happens on October 13th, and Pluto goes direct that day as well. What's really interesting about this day, the 13th of October, is, and I've been saying this for the past couple weeks, that I felt like the energy of October is going to shift from heaviness in the middle of October, because we have a lot of intense transits happening right now. They're not super comfortable, they're not super fun. Some of them will continue into the rest of October, like Jupiter square Chiron, but we also will have Jupiter harmonizing with Saturn, and we're still going to have Uranus harmonizing with Pluto. And then when Venus moves into Libra, it's going to harmonize with both Pluto and Uranus. So I think this is going to be like this light, refreshing energy, a little reprieve from the challenges, from the major like karmic release cycles we've been in. Like that's really what it's giving to me, is like this refresh, this rejuvenation of our energy, of our values, of our self-worth, of our relationships. Like it just feels like all the positive change that has been building for us is deeply supported once Venus moves into Libra. Now it will oppose Neptune when it is first in Libra, so that might create some type of rude awakening around what we've been illusioned, veiled from. Like there might be some fogginess, or there might still be this energy of like we don't feel super clear, but I feel like at the same time we are getting clarity in the ways that we need, like, and everything's coming together in better ways than we could have predicted, even if it still feels like there's this energy of things not being clear and still a little bit being veiled. We could also get clarity or answers through our dreams. I had a very vivid, intense dream the other night. Again, Venus through my 12th house. And Venus has been opposing Saturn and Pisces as I'm filming this. So this energy is going to feel better than that. I would rather take Venus opposite Neptune than Venus opposite Saturn personally. But there is like this dreamy kind of just spacey, like delusional aspect to it as well. So really important to just trust your intuition with this transit and really do what you feel is best, and really pay attention to like subtle warning signs of things, especially if you're getting any message or anything like that from your dreams. I also feel like because Venus isn't just opposite Neptune during this transit, it's also harmonizing with Pluto that has just gone direct, which is externalizing the energy of Pluto. The energy of Pluto has been internalized while it's been retrograde the past 6 months. So Venus is also harmonizing with Pluto that's now direct, and Uranus. I think there's gonna be this aha moment maybe around the change we've been wanting to make, and maybe things have felt chaotic, but we get this kind of like, oh, this intuitive clarity is what it feels like. And it may be unconventional, so we really just have to like trust it and take the action. Mars is on Mercury also at the same time, so there is a lot of momentum towards like our thoughts and externalizing our transformation. I feel like this is a lot of, if you've been doing work on transforming your mental state, like this is when it's gonna pay off. And like I said too, Jupiter is starting to harmonize with Saturn. I mean, it has been for a little bit, and it's getting tighter and tighter at this time, mid-October. So there's really big energy of no matter what, you are protected, you are supported in making the changes and having the transformation you wanna make. I'm looking at my list for transits I don't wanna forget. Then this even further amplifies towards the end of October. We have Mars harmonizing with Jupiter on the 28th of October. We have Mercury harmonizing with Jupiter on the 24th of October. Before that, we have a new moon in Libra on the 21st. We still have a conjunction between Mars and Mercury. Mars and Mercury are pretty much moving together like the second half of the month. But this new moon in Libra that we have on the 21st is going to challenge Jupiter, while it also adds tension to Chiron. So this could be not a super comfortable one. It's gonna really call for us to have our systems redefined, or our structures and our systems are really in place to make the change that we want to see in our lives. Like there also could be a further illumination of whatever wounds or triggers have been brought up like since September, because we've had a lot of activation going on with Chiron, especially as Jupiter is squaring Chiron on the day of the new moon. That's been building for a month or two now. So this new moon in Libra could be a really intense one. It could be a culmination of all of the wounds and the triggers we've been facing and looking at around our sense of self, around our identity, maybe again related to relationships and our values. I mean, this is a new moon in Libra, and from those triggers, from that challenge, from the conflict that comes up around this time, that might give us the clarity on, okay, this is how I want to move forward with my relationships, with money, with my values, my self-worth intact, in a way that has changed, in a way that has evolved from who I used to be and how I used to view myself and my value, and how that has shown up in relationships and with money. So there's really this emphasis on setting these new intentions to have more harmony in your life, to have more alignment, and to really get out of repeating old patterns and cycles that were not serving you. This is a really big energy of like being pushed into the new, especially if it's uncomfortable. And it's like whatever is happening around you, whatever your circumstances are happening for you to put you into the new, to put you into what you actually want, but it might not look like how you thought it would look like. But it is exactly what you need. And I feel like by the end of the year, we will all have this realization of that, if not while we're in it. Like, oh, this is better than what I could have planned for, or this is better than what I thought I wanted, and everything was being divinely rearranged for me to have it. So then on October 22nd, right after the new moon in Libra, we have Neptune going back into Pisces. Again, we might get this kind of utmost clarity about what maybe before had felt unclear. I think we're going to start to reevaluate whatever Neptune and Pisces was for you in the area you have Pisces in your chart. If you want to learn how to master your astrology transits with me, come take my newest course, Master Astrology Transits. I'm so excited about it. But Neptune back into Pisces, we're not going to see this again in our lifetime. And so it's really a reevaluation of how Neptune has shown up for you in Pisces thus far, really over the last like 2 years, year and a half, when Saturn and Neptune were getting closer and closer together, and now they've been pretty tight with each other for the last like 6 to 8 months. So this could be a reevaluation of what was coming up for you earlier in the year before Neptune moved into Aries in March. And where do you have Pisces in your chart? Do you have anything late degrees Pisces? Because that is going to be amplified by this transit of Neptune back into Pisces. Neptune was in Pisces for 14 years. So really, what was going on in that area of your life since like 2011? Now that I'm thinking back to this for myself, like what was the overall energy of Neptune and Pisces for me through my 6th house? It was a lot of like meeting people who I thought were my friends, turned out to not be. Like, you know, it was veiled that they were like a hidden enemy, right? Which is the 6th house. I also had such alignment with creativity in my work more and more. Like when Neptune first went into Pisces, I went to college to be a pharmacist. And then I dropped out. That sent me into like a crisis, but then I figured out what I wanted to do for work, and that I wanted to own a business. And so I started my first business that never really took off. And then I started this business teaching astrology and human design. And this is what like I really have found joy in, and what really lights up not only my creativity, but I'm just so obsessed and passionate about it. And it makes so much sense for my chart. So that's kind of what has gone on for me with Neptune through my 6th house over the last 14 years. Seeing veils clearly for what they are and not allowing myself to get caught up in an illusion, and really connecting back to, what do I want to do for work? How do I want to serve with my gifts and my obsession with spirituality, and really stepping into that more fully than ever. It also, when Neptune first moved into Pisces, is when I learned about meditation and yoga, and those have been central themes of my life and my daily routine ever since then. So very interesting to kind of reflect on Neptune's transit through my 6th house over the last 14 years. Crazy it's been 14 years, but it just makes so much sense. Like, of course I got into yoga and meditation when Neptune moved into my 6th house into Pisces, like of course. And then I think when it moved over my Saturn, I have Saturn and Pisces, is when I got really like serious about meditating and doing yoga every single day. It was like a need all of a sudden. And since then it has been something I have like been very disciplined with in my daily routine and my day to day, which is 6th house. So yeah, it all makes sense. So reflect on what that has been for you, because it's going to get a revisitation with Neptune moving back into Pisces. I'm looking at the chart right now on the 22nd. And then Neptune will go direct on December 10th. It won't move back into Aries until the end of February. And this is what I was saying earlier, like the end of February is gonna be kind of intense, but it is my belief that these transits that are happening now are preparing us for that, right? We've already experienced Neptune and Saturn and Aries. So what did it bring up for you? I think I made a whole other YouTube video on this at the time, that both were moving into Aries back in May. So go look for that on my channel in my playlist of the astrology transit updates, I think is what the playlist is called. But I don't want anyone to think that retrogrades are scary, because they're not. They're just periods of reflecting on how the energy has shown up for you thus far, so we can reevaluate what we need to do differently or what we want to do differently, so that when that planet moves forward again, we make those changes and we integrate what we reevaluated while it was retrograde. It's really nothing to fear. Retrogrades are just times to internalize that planet's energy, to reflect on how it's shown up for you, the lessons it has brought you, so that you can move forward in a way that's better and more aligned with what you want for yourself in your life. And this is why learning astrology transits and how to apply them to your chart is so important, to understand more about how these are affecting you on a personal level, and so you don't also get caught up in the bullshit of people fear-mongering these things. They don't need to be fear-mongered. And I teach you how to do just that with my new Master Astrology Transits course. So come join if you want to learn how to apply these transits to your individual birth chart or the birth chart of other people. Because I can't tell y'all how many times I have looked up someone's transits and been like, oh, that's why they're being like that right now, or that's why they're experiencing that right now. Like, yep, makes sense. Okay, we're gonna have the sun squaring Pluto October 24th. The week of the new moon in Libra is going to be interesting. It might not be a super easy week, but again, I've been saying this in my updates, and I'll say more about this week when I do my weekly update for it, is how can you focus on the positives? Because there are so many miracles and positive things happening at the same time that there are things that are challenging us to grow and evolve and change. Like on the day that we have Sun square Pluto, we also have Mercury harmonizing with Saturn and Jupiter, and Mars harmonizing with Saturn and Jupiter. So there is like this potential for divine miracles when we embrace it and when we trust in our intuition to guide us and to lead us, because it never has led us astray before, ever. And Sun square Pluto is like, yes, there could be challenges between like what is illuminated in your life and what has been a focus with Mars and Mercury moving through Scorpio in that area of your chart. But the Sun squaring Pluto is like gonna be this further illumination of what needs to change. And it might feel like this sudden thing, again, like getting the clarity of like, oh, actually I'm gonna go this direction, or actually I'm gonna do this because this is what best is gonna support me. So it could be this catalyst for us to have the transformation that we have been slowly on the path of for the last couple months and really all year. Like it feels like the energy of change culminates around this time. Like the changes we've been making all year and what we've been stepping to all year really kind of comes to a head at the end of October and the 1st of November. So that's a little thing also to just watch for, is when the sun is going to square Pluto and where it's going to be in your chart. That'll be really interesting. Yeah, it feels like on the 24th of October, there could be a lot of just like sudden epiphanies and breakthroughs around what needs to change in our lives and how to do it, how to go about it. Okay, so that is pretty much October. The 29th of October, we have Mercury going into Sag. It will oppose Uranus, which is kind of a big deal. Then we're gonna have Mars oppose Uranus on November 4th. So the first week of November is gonna be pretty interesting. There could be these like sudden changes or just things that we're like called to do that really are unconventional and really are not something we like predicted for ourselves. It's a very interesting time to be alive, let me tell you. And the first week of November, the last 3 days of October and the first week of November are like very interesting in how things are going to progress, and I think it's going to kind of shock all of us what comes out or what comes to light. Maybe this is like with current events, with politics or the news or what's going on with the US government, but in your own life it could also be like you just really starting something new or getting some revelation around something you want to do, an idea you want to share, or like getting the urge to move or really just like change jobs. I feel like I just see this big transition kind of happening all of a sudden and all at once. It may be feeling a little bit chaotic because like it's something we didn't expect to want to do. It's like the energy of, do y'all remember when if you like follow me really closely, you probably remember this, but do y'all remember when my lease was ending and I was in a lawsuit and my lease was ending in middle of August back in Colorado, and I was religiously looking for a place to move into. Like I had been looking for months. As soon as the lawsuit began and all of it just like shit started to hit the fan, I started to look for another place to live. But I wasn't finding anything that I liked that was like a reasonable price. all of a sudden, it's like a week before I meant to move out, or maybe even like a couple days before I meant to move out, I suddenly, because I the whole time was like, I don't want to put my stuff in storage, I want to find a house, blah 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 blah. Oh, like the weekend before I was to move, I all of a sudden was like, never mind, I'm putting my stuff in storage and I'm going to Montana. I don't know where it came from. It just like came all of a sudden, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. This actually feels the best for me. I don't want to be here. It's frustrating to like find somewhere to live here. I don't want to do it. That's kind of like this energy for the first week of November, is like all of a sudden we're just gonna get this like insight of like, oh, this is actually what I want to do, or this is the path I want to take, this is the direction I want to go. And it might be unconventional, but if it's excites you, if it's something you like, your human design authority is like telling you to do, like act on it and trust that it's what is meant for you. Because I am so glad I followed my intuition here and I let my sacral authority, I'm a manifesting generator, a sacral authority manifesting generator. I'm so glad I let my sacral guide me here, because it has been the best experience. I've met the best people, and it's just, I love it here so much. I like can't remember the last time I was so happy to be in a place, and just every time I leave, even just being in this house right now, I'm just like, I am so in love with it here. And I never would have known that. I never would have given myself the chance to find that out if I hadn't followed the spontaneous urge of excitement to road trip here. So that's kind of this energy, is like, embrace the unconventional, embrace what like maybe you didn't expect yourself wanting to do, but all of a sudden the universe is like, no, you're doing this. Because that is the energy of October, or the end of October. And early November. I don't know why I just blurted out October, but maybe October is like the building of this energy that we all of a sudden get answers around the 1st of November with everything that's going to oppose Uranus. But there's still things we don't have the full picture of, and that's going to come as we get into the first week of November. Because like I said, Mars enters Sagittarius on November 4th, and Mercury is still right there too. Mars and Mercury are going to be moving together for a little bit, and when they both move into Sag, they're going to be opposite Uranus, which is the energy of kind of this sudden like, oh, epiphany, breakthrough, I'm just going over here now, like this is what I'm doing now. Actually, that's the energy of the 1st of November. Really like the first week of November. There could also be more triggers for us to work through. Yay, Chiron transits with our sense of self, our identity, what needs to change within our relationships with money, people, our values, our self-worth, our sense of self, and how we're viewing us in all of those things. That could also be a theme the first week of November too, as Venus is going to be opposite Chiron the first week of November, and then we're still going to have the square between Chiron and Jupiter. Venus will be a part of that too. So there could feel like, oh, there's some challenges and wounds to still dig kind of deeper into and really shift, so that you step fully into this new version of yourself that has been growing and has been evolving since Chiron first went into Aries back in like 2018, 2019. Chiron isn't going to be in Aries again for 50 years after this. So this is a really big energy for us to really ground ourselves in a new identity, a new sense of self, and be embodied in this whole new beginning on a solid foundation, so that we really are building our new life from a stable place that's going to last, that's not just going to crumble. That really is all of this energy right now, because also in the first week of November, we have Jupiter exact trine to Saturn, and then we have a full moon in Taurus on the 5th of November. This could be an illumination, a culmination, manifestation of themes around money, especially like what you were experiencing, changing in your life, or with money, with finances, with resources back when Uranus was moving through Taurus. And we're gonna have Uranus go back into Taurus on the 7th of November. So right after the full moon, we're gonna have Uranus go back into Taurus. So there's kind of this revisitation of these themes related to money, related to finances, and like, are you making it in a way that you want to be making it? How can you really just trust in your ability to be supported no matter what's coming up, or no matter what is changing about your life? How can you trust that you have support no matter what? That has been a huge theme of my life these past couple months, really all year. And I have a lot in Taurus, so it's just a general theme of my life. So I know this energy really well, but like there's also this, even though there are these challenges and these conflicts and these things that aren't super comfortable, it is propelling us into what is needed. It is getting us to where we want to go, into what dream we have been building for the past 3 years as Saturn first went into Pisces. Because right after the moon is full, it's gonna harmonize with Saturn and with Jupiter, which are harmonizing with each other. So there's this big like ball of harmony and miracles through the challenges challenges, through the chaos, through the change. And the more you focus on that, the more it's going to grow and the more it's going to expand, because what you focus on grows. And it's just all about trusting that everything is fine. It's all divine. Yeah, the first week of November is going to be very interesting. I don't think it's going to be super comfortable, but like I said, there's going to be these themes of like miracles and magic along the way. And how can you embrace the unconventional ideas or intuitive nudges you're getting and take action on them, because they're going to lead you to where you're meant to be and to what you're meant to be doing, and it will get you closer to your dream that has been manifesting this whole time. And then we have a good old Mercury retrograde starting on November 9th. I feel like a newscaster when I say that. On November 9th, we have a Mercury retrograde starting in Sagittarius. There could be a revisitation of these themes, of these ideas, of how we've been taking action thus far over the past couple weeks on what we want, right? The forward momentum might get a little bit of a slowdown, so we can reassess and we can reevaluate, is this really what I want? Maybe what about my belief systems or my internal communication? It needs to change so I can further align with what I want, right? Mercury retrograde and retrogrades in general, nothing to be scared of. They are just a time to slow down and reevaluate the energy. It's like a recalibration so that when it goes direct, we can move forward with what we realize needs to change. Then at the same time, we're gonna have Venus square Pluto. So again, could be more catalyst for transforming your values, your self-worth, your relationships, and your money. It's gonna propel you and catalyze you into a transformation. This energy too could also feel like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just like trusting in my process. I'm staying present as much as I can, and I'm just like trusting that what needs to come is gonna come when it needs to come. That's this energy like the first 2 weeks of November. Then on the 11th of November, 11/11, we're gonna have Jupiter station retrograde. So that will shift the energy of Jupiter from external, internal, right? Retrogrades are themes of reevaluation. So Jupiter going retrograde in Cancer is a reevaluation of how Jupiter in Cancer has shown up for you thus far since it first moved there back in the summer. I think that was June or July when Jupiter first went into Cancer. So when it goes retrograde, it will be a reflection on that energy and an internal kind of look at what about the systems and structures that I've expanded in my life to further nurture, support, and take care of myself needs refinement, needs some reevaluation. Did y'all see that ladybug? Because I feel like that was some divine shit that just flew in front of me. Then right after Jupiter goes retrograde, we will have a grand trine between Saturn, Jupiter, and the Sun in Scorpio, which again is bringing about illumination of miracles in our life related to the systems, the structure, the commitment, or the discipline we've had in place around how to further take care of ourselves and our emotional health, and maybe trusting our intuition more as well. Then on November 18th, we have Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio at the same time that we have the grand trine I just mentioned with the Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter. We will also have Venus harmonizing with the North Node. So it feels like there's this momentum, this positive momentum and miracles, magic towards the direction we've been heading the last 2 to 3 years. Again, it's like this culmination energy of everything we've changed about ourselves, our life, our home, our job, our finances over the last 2 to 3 years is really kind of culminating at the end of this year. We're getting the clarity we need. We're getting the answers we need. We know what to do, we know how to move forward, and it's time to implement, which I haven't looked this deep into the end of the year transits right until now, and I'm getting really excited about them. So it feels like a really positive energy towards making all the changes we've wanted to make. We also, once Mercury goes back into Scorpio, it's going to be opposite Uranus and Taurus for the last time. None of us alive, most of us alive, will not see this happen ever again. So there could be these really big internal mindset shifts about how we are moving forward with the change that we're making, or it could really have us reevaluate our mental space, our thought patterns, our stories, and everything, so that we really get deep into what has been blocking us from having what we want, shifting it so we move forward and we have it in a way that's stable, in a way that is consistent, in a way that, like I was talking about earlier, is on a solid foundation. It's not going to crumble just because of one thing that throws us off. If you have felt like the past couple years your life is like this merry-go-round of, okay, I learned how to balance these two things and now this thing's out of whack. Well, it kind of feels like we're learning how to finally juggle everything with harmony and with balance. This is just very divine, synchronistic energy, because also as soon as Mercury goes back into Scorpio and opposes Uranus and Taurus, we have a new moon in Scorpio right on Mercury. Opposite Uranus. So it's like setting intentions towards the great transformation we're making and the change that we're embodying. I mean, I'm getting so excited for November. Like, It's gonna start off a little weird, but then it feels like things really shift, and they shift in a way that's like, oh, this is what I wanted the whole time. Then on November 29th, we have Mercury going direct. Saturn goes direct on the 27th of November. And on the same day that Mercury goes direct, the 29th of November, Venus will be opposite Uranus and Taurus. So even more pressure and tension on making the changes we need to make. Everything still will be harmonizing with Saturn and Jupiter too. So it's like there might be this pressure and tension to change things in maybe a chaotic way that feels unstable, but it actually is what we need, and it actually is creating stability, even if it doesn't seem like it, which I know is like a conundrum, like it sounds counterintuitive, but this is just what I see. And because of there's Neptune energy at play with this, there might be this fogginess of like, I don't even know if this is the right thing, but there's this knowing in us that it is the right thing. There's this intuitive, just like, yes, like maybe a whisper, because the mind, as I say, is really loud. The intuition is like a quiet knowing, and there's gonna be that quiet knowing, even if the mind is freaking out of like, wait, I thought I wanted this, or blah, blah, blah. Like it's not what we had planned or predicted, but our intuition is like, yes, go this way. Like it's a path of ease. It's a path of least resistance. So we are really learning how to embrace that and step into that, getting clarity around what that looks like for us and acting on it, like being on the path of it towards the end of November. Now moving into December, on December 4th, we'll have a full moon in Gemini that will be challenging the nodes. So that's going to be an interesting time of like, okay, what about what I've been manifesting over the last 6 months where you have Gemini in your chart is going to be illuminated. Maybe there's a further release there. Maybe something in your mental state that is released, a belief system or something, a story you've been telling yourself about a certain thing that maybe has been keeping you stuck in repeating a cycle instead of manifesting what you actually want. There's going to be an illumination around that, so you can really see it for what it is, release what doesn't serve you, and move forward with what does. Then on December 10th, we're gonna have Neptune go direct on the same day that Mercury opposes Uranus and harmonizes with Neptune and Saturn. So again, there is this energy for like divine inspiration or miracles and answers, but we're gonna have to like face something about our mindset that maybe again needs further like dedication to shifting. It's almost like we are really being tested to step into the new and tell ourselves a new story, and like maybe be a little bit delusional about what we want and where we're headed, sticking to our vision. I just kind of posted a video about this a week ago about the Venus South Node conjunction in Virgo, and this seems to continue to be a theme for the rest of the year, is like what needs to change about your like mental state and how you're viewing your circumstances. How can you like accept where you are, know you want to change it, and then focus on like what you want to change about it so that you actually align with the change instead of just repeating what you're in that you don't like. That's this energy, and it feels like by December, the middle of December, we're really like pressured to change our mindset fully and just further integrate and clean up maybe the mindset things that we hadn't up until this point. Then on December 11th, we have Mercury going into Sagittarius again after it went retrograde. It's almost out of post shadow, so we're still really integrating the themes of Mercury retrograde, what came up for us. We're also at the same time gonna have Mars in Sagittarius challenging Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So this kind of might feel like what we want in terms of our freedom or expansion is at odds with like what we have to be disciplined with, or what we're like need to be real about and ground ourselves in reality a little bit. It could feel like what we're having to take action on is challenging what we have been disciplined and committed to when it comes to building our dream, and we're learning how to kind of like bring those two things into balance, I feel. But a lot of this too is like based on your belief systems. Like I was listening to this podcast earlier, and they were saying if you expect yourself to be organized because you think you should be organized, but actually serves you to not be an organized person, like it's actually been working for you and it actually is better for you to not force yourself to be something you're not. This is that energy. It's like roll with who you are and how you be, because it probably suits you in a lot of ways, and it might just be this belief or this mindset that you need to be something you're not. This is going to bring about this realization in us mid-December for us to really like release further what doesn't serve us about how we have been thinking we need to be, and instead embracing what we are and embracing our true desires, even if it is unconventional or outside the norm. But like what even is normal, right? Like Pluto's in Aquarius. Everything we've been told is normal is changing and shifting. The world as we know it is changing every single day. It's never going to look the same. So it's time to stop forcing yourself to be something you're never going to be, that's never going to work for you. That's this energy. Like give yourself the freedom to be who you are. That's really mid-December, because we're also going to have the Sun and Venus then add energy to that. So Mars is going to square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and then Mars is going to move into Capricorn on December 15th, and then the Sun and Venus are going to challenge Saturn and Neptune. Looks like there will also be a Venus cazimi as well, but I don't think that will happen until both the Sun and Venus enter Capricorn. We are going to have a new moon in Sagittarius on December 19th. Mercury is now post shadow, so again, we are integrating whatever came up for us during Mercury retrograde. We're setting new intentions and beginnings around our belief system, and maybe waking up to, again, like our mindset around things or any delusions we have had about our life thus far. This is interesting energy. A new moon in Sagittarius challenging Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. It's giving like we want a new beginning, but is what we want too delusional? Or is it too out of reach? Is it too out of touch with reality? But it's like, what even is, you know, reality is what you make it. So what even is that? I'm not getting anything more about this. This is really interesting. I'm gonna have to mark it on my calendar December 19th and see what ends up happening, because this is also like really close to my own moon sign. So that'll be interesting. We have Capricorn season beginning on the winter solstice. Venus will be challenging Saturn and Neptune like the last week of December, December 20th, December 21st, around the same time as the winter solstice. So that's gonna be interesting too, of like kind of further integrating the challenges we've been facing around what our values are, what we're currently focused on, and like our discipline and what we're waking up to, what we're maybe the fog is lifting around. It's like, oh wait, but there's also this. Again, I'm not getting super clear stuff about that. It's hard to read this energy, Venus square Neptune. It could be like situationships returning to your life and you really having to be like, no, I'm done with this. Like, this is not what I want. I deserve better. I'm worth better. Like that kind of energy. But it really challenges you to trust your intuition and see things clearly where you have been deluded in the past. It'll be an interesting Christmas Eve, that's for sure. Because Venus is squaring Neptune exactly on the 23rd. And then on the 24th, Venus moves into Capricorn. We have a conjunction between Venus, the Sun, and Mars in Capricorn. So Mercury is starting to square Saturn. Mercury is starting to square Neptune by the end of December. So this is gonna be, you know, again, really trust your intuition. Don't let people pull the wool over your eyes or gaslight you from your knowing. We really could be challenged to question like our values, our self-worth, how we're acting from those places, and like as a foundation in a stable way. And then, like I said, we have a Venus cazimi in Capricorn on the last couple days of December, New Year's Eve. It will be a very interesting holiday season because of these transits, that's for damn sure. Because New Year's Eve, we have the Venus cazimi. It's really close to Mars. We have Mercury square Neptune. There could be some, you know, pick your battles, because there could be some like gaslighting from people going on. Could be like this big avoidance energy of like, we're gonna act like everything's fine when things are not fine at all. Like, what a great energy to be spending time with family if that's what you do at the holidays. This is kind of like the energy of what we have chosen to change in our lives, maybe like so unconventional that people who don't get it are asking us weird questions about it, and we have to like overly explain our decisions to people who just like don't understand it. You know, the best advice I can give for that is change the subject. If there's something you don't want to talk about with people because they're just not going to understand, like, change the subject. That's my favorite move. That's kind of this energy too, is how to work with it. And then on New Year's Day, we have Mercury going into Capricorn. And then January 2nd, January 3rd, depending on where you are in the world, we have the full moon in Cancer. That will be opposite Venus. We'll still have the Venus cazimi going on at the time of the full moon in Cancer. So very big illumination of your values, what systems and structures, again, you need in place to really have a foundation of your self-worth, your values, your money, your relationships, what you want, and all of those things moving forward that has changed for you over the last year, and an illumination further of what also about those things that are changing for you impact your ability to support and nurture yourself and take care of yourself in the ways that you need, because this is Cancer after all. So really, really interesting end to the year, really interesting beginning of the year next year. I personally don't count like January as the new year, but you know, we live in the Gregorian calendar, so we have to acknowledge these constructs. It has never made sense to me that we have a new year in the middle of winter. Like, what even is that? But anyways, that's maybe for another video. Let me know how this all resonates with you. Let me know what's coming up for you with these transits. If you want to come join my Master Astrology Transits course, the link is in the description. I hope to see you inside. But either way, let me know how this is all showing up for you and what's going on in your chart. Let's chat about it in the comments. I'm wishing you such a prosperous end of the year and that you get everything you want. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!